Welcome back to Recession Proof Business Tips. We are wrapping up a 5-part series on mastering the biggest tool that you need to master selling anything, and that is mastering your story. So, if you missed any of the previous ones, go back to my YouTube, subscribe there as well too, and you can catch the previous 4 days as well. But today we're going to conclude it, and we're going to talk about how to effectively use your story in your business. Have you ever been around somebody that talked all the time and they started to share a story, and then you scratch your head thinking, why did you just tell that story? Put a 1 in the comments if you've ever been around someone like that. It's like you're leaning in, you're super excited, you're like, all right, here comes the point, here comes the point, and then there was no point. And you're like, why did you just waste like a couple minutes of my life? Now, I've done that before as well too. So I'm the first one that will admit that. But it's important to understand that stories are powerful, but they must be intentional. So if you went through our previous days, we talked about the story framework to construct a before, a then, and a now. We talked about how to really drill into the pain points of the before so people can relate. We talked about then just doing it in a couple minutes. We talked about how to actually deliver it impactfully, to practice and practice and practice. But when it comes to actually how to use your story effectively in your business, you might be a little bit confused, like I was. It's like we got all these stories in our arsenal. When and how do we use them? Well, here's a quote that you want to jot down. You never want to tell a point without telling a story. Hello. And you never want to tell a story without telling a point. Great to see you, Shannon. So you want to make sure that when you're making any point out there, so for sake of example, here's a good time to use a story. Let's say you're selling a product. For me, I sell health and wellness products, for example. If I am to sell a health and wellness product, let's say I want to share a story, then a testimonial of someone that got good results on the health and wellness product. Let's say it's a fat loss product. I'm explaining that to my prospect. At that point, I'll share. I'll be like, I have a friend, and let's say it's a story that's related to your prospect, right? Something that's intentional. I have a friend that was just like you. They used this product and they were able to do blah, blah, blah. Right? So always share a story that's relevant to the point that you're making. On that same health and wellness note, if I'm talking to a 50-year-old woman about this health and wellness product that wants to lose weight and is going through menopause, I'm not going to talk about my 25-year-old college athlete that wants to gain muscle that use this product to be able to get a result. Does that make sense? Like, use a relevant story. Now, that's for product sales, but it's also for conveying a point. Let's say you're trying to talk with a teammate and you're trying to influence them to take an action. You're trying to coach someone. You're trying to lead someone. And let's say your person that you're trying to lead has some fear, has some hesitation. Let's say they're concerned and you're coaching them to do something on social media. And they're scared of what they'll look like on social media, so they don't want to post. Well, never make a point without telling a story. So you're instructing them, hey, it's important to post on social media. You're going to get exposure. You're going to get followers, blah, blah, blah. Tell a story. At this point, use a story that's related to that topic. Hey, I remember I was like that. I was scared of posting on social. I didn't know. I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't know if what I'd say would impact. But then what I realized was, boom, if I do it consistently over the course of time, if I'm able to add in a couple of the right details, if I know how to post it, then it actually becomes one of my most effective tools for expanding a brand, expanding a business. And now look at what happened. You see, stories can be just as effective with helping to influence a teammate, influence somebody to do something. One final place that stories are super effective, especially in a prospect situation, is whenever your prospect has an objection. If they have a concern, I can't afford it, I don't have the time to commit to it, this isn't the right timing for me. What objections do you face in your business with prospects? Right? Those are perfect opportunities to be able to address the point but then also to be able to share a relevant story to overcome that point. And why are stories so impactful? Remember, we're talking about how we work. And we work because we have a body, we have a mind, and we have spirit, okay? We have a logical mind, and we have called the conscious. We have a subconscious mind, the emotional mind, the subconscious. Most of us, while we're thinking with our logical mind, we actually make decisions with our emotional mind. We are creatures of emotion. So unless you can get into the subconscious, unless you can actually speak in the emotional level, you're not going to get people to move. The best way to bypass the conscious mind is through a story, a relevant story, because stories engage the subconscious. Stories engage the emotion. Stories engage the heart. That's why we all love a good story. We all love a good movie. We all love a good book. We want to hear inspiring stories. We want to get uplifted. That's why the saying is facts tell, stories sell. Facts go to the logical brain, stories go to the emotional brain. You got to go into the emotion. So when you're talking about an objection and overcoming it, you can know all the facts, all the figures, all the logistics, all the details. But if you don't have a story, you're missing out on a very, very big point. Jim Rohn said this very well in communication. There's an art. And he said, imagine you have a little thumbnail, a pin. You know, one of those clothespins? And imagine you throw this pin and you throw it real hard at someone. It might hit them and it might, like, I don't know, graze them a little bit. But those little thumbnails, those little pins, they won't really do much damage. It's just too light. But if you tied a brick on top of that thumbnail, on top of that pin, if you throw that, that pin could drive through someone's heart. Now, of course, that's an analogy. But how does that work? The pin is the logic. The pin is the fact. The pin is the reason. Now it's important. You have to have that. That's the point. But the brick that drives it through, that's the emotion. The brick is the story. That's what stories do. Facts tell, which you need, but stories sell, which you also need as well too. So be sure that whenever you're telling a point, also tell a story. And if you are telling a story, make sure there's a point to it as well too. There's nothing as much of a time waster as a story with no point to it. And there's nothing as ineffective as a point without a story. So be sure in your business that in situations with your prospects, your clients, your partners, anybody, be sure to marry those two together and take this entire story framework that we taught you in the previous 4 videos. You will become a ninja. You will become elite. You will become a warrior in any business that you are in because you're going to be so effective and so impactful with your communication. So I hope this helped. I hope this series was interesting. If it was, let me know in the comments below as well. If you missed any of the previous days, we have 5 parts of the series of mastering your story and how to use it, craft it, use it, and actually tell it and deliver it so that it helps your business. Go back to any of them. You might want to rewatch them or go through this whole series again as well too. If it did encourage you, like this, share this, and subscribe to my YouTube for this plus a lot more as well too. And if you are in a space right now where you're interested in, I like to teach a lot about business and how to stay recession proof, but one of the first parts of saying recession proof is you need a business to be recession proof with. So if you're in a space right now that you want to get in business, you don't have one, or maybe you're in one, but you want to get involved in another one and you're looking for other opportunities, I run an organization called the Warrior Movement. We help train people to build a phone-based business in a fun, simple, professional way. And if that sounds like something you want to learn more about, then fill out the work with me form in my caption, my bio. Would love to have a conversation with you. But if not, then keep on staying tuned in these series because in recession proof business tips, I'm going to be giving you very tactical business skills that regardless of what business that you're in, you can stay recession proof. So I hope that encouraged you. Other than that, we'll see you on the next videos. Warrior out.